Okay, so good morning, everyone. My name is Sara Garavelli from CSC at the Center for Science in Finland, and I'm the EOSC Future leader for the engagement activities. Welcome to the first day of the EOSC Future Open Days. We are really happy to have you all here today. We decided to organize this event to make sure that the community is informed about the EOSC future activities, what our plans, our ambitions, and expected results. And we really would like you to be engaged in all the sessions that we are going in these days to make sure that if you have any relevant contributions or input, that you can have the opportunity to tell us. I remind you that the sessions are recorded and they will be made available right after the event, together with all the material that will be presented. Before going into the sessions, I just want to give you a very brief overview about EOSC Future. EOSC Future is the flagship project supporting the implementation of EOSC. The project started this year in April 2021 and will end in September 2023. So as you can see, quite a short deadline for all the objectives that we want to achieve. There are 35 beneficiaries that are representing more than 80 organizations from all around Europe. And you see on the slides all the different organizations that are involved in EOSC Future. And the total funding is 40 million euro. What is the vision of EOSC Future? So the vision is to build and co-create the operational EOSC platform that will consist of data, services, and open research products to make sure and making sure that this platform is used and accessed by European researchers. There are three main key tenets of EOSC Future. So the EOSC Core and EOSC Exchange, so the main component of what we call the EOSC platform, integration of data and resources, but also direct involvement of users, co-design and co-creation. And this is really something that I would like to stress as one of our objectives. This slide briefly summarize the different streams of activities that we have as part of the project. So of course, the main focus of EOSC Future is about technology and interoperability and co-development and user engagement, but there are also other things that are not less important. We are also addressing policy and strategy, skills and training, and of course, excellent science. And all these topics are those that you will see featured in these days during the sessions. Let's come to today's agenda. So today we have the first three sessions where we are addressing three different topics. The first one is about the EOSC platform front office, and that's the session where you are. After this one, we are going into the excellent science pillar of EOSC Future. So we will hear from the scientific communities how EOSC is supporting their research. And the last session of the day is really dedicated to the activities through which you can be engaged in the EOSC Future activity. My last slide is about how we are going to interact during the session. So we are going to use Slido. So you just need to go to slido.com and enter the code that you can see on the slide. We are going to post the code also in the chat. And I please ask you to start entering your questions also during the first presentations so that then we can use them for the discussion. That's it from my side. I'm now going to introduce the speakers for the first session. So that are John Shepperson, Cloud Platform Delivery Director at CESDA ERIC, and Bartosz Wilk, Scientific Programmer at Cyphernet. I'll stop sharing my screen, and John, I hand it over to you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. Okay. Okay, I'm hoping that you can see my screen. If so, good morning, everybody. So Bartosz and I are going to talk about the EOSC platform front office this morning. and we're going to tell you what it is, what we're planning in terms of new and improved features, and what we believe the benefits to users and researchers will be of making these changes. So what is the EOSC platform front office? Well, it's not a greenfield development. It's built on the outputs of some previous projects, including EOSC Hub, EOSC Enhance, and OpenAir Advance. And the aims are to support open science, to provide enhanced support and training for users, and also to personalize recommendations to help guide researchers to relevant projects, data, publications, and training materials that are on the platform, but also to find potential collaborators, such as other researchers, a task force, and communities of interest to them. Probably worth looking at some terminology to start off with. So there's the portal website, and that allows users to navigate the front office, to look at the resources available through EOSC. There's the catalog and marketplace, which allows discovery, access, and composition of those resources. A user panel, so that users can interact with the front office in a personalized way by using their own dashboard. A knowledge hub that allows users to both access and contribute to the skills and training materials. Open science statistics to allow access to stats about open science activities. And an open science help desk so that users can obtain support in their research activities. So looking at those 6 areas, we'll see there are a number of features to support those, such as the platform gateway web page and the front and back office capabilities for the navigating the front office. For discovery, access, and combine, we've got things such as smart search user interface, resource comparison, user space for combining resources. Interacting front office using a dashboard, user profile and user settings are some of the features that support that. Access to and contribute EOSC skills and training materials, landing pages, of course, for the knowledge access, skills and training materials, both access and authoring features. The access to open science stats, there are metrics and graphical metric analysis tools. And for obtain support, open science help desk and a core reporting help desk. And we look at some of these in more detail. Before we do that though, what's the current state of play? We say that we're building on existing foundations, and some of those foundations are the portal website, and you can see the URL there. That existed before the EOSC Future project started. There's a virtual tour for new users, which has been developed in the first few months of the EOSC Future project. The catalog and marketplace, which again was already in place. And a very recent YouTube video, which walks potential users through the use of the EOSC portal and catalog and marketplace. And the title of the video is Enhance Your Research with the EOSC portal marketplace. So the existing portal website, you can browse it by scientific domains or by categories of materials that are available. And you can see from this slide that there are several scientific domains available, and clearly on the actual site, if you clicked on any of those, you would see the full details. When you first go to the portal marketplace, you'll be offered the opportunity to take the new tour. You can either take it or you can pass by saying you'll do it later. and that shows you the main features. And then the landing page for the catalog and marketplace looks like this, and you can search for resources. Either browsing through the catalog, going to projects you've earmarked previously, or doing the free text search. So this, as I say, is already in place. And so one of the things we're looking to do is to improve the user experience. There's been feedback throughout the life of the previous projects about the usability and the user experience, and it's an area that requires some improvements. So if we first talk a little bit about what user experience is, it's said to determine how a user feels when they're using a product like the EOSC portal or the marketplace and catalog. Whether or not they like or dislike using it, and whether or not they're likely to use it again. And you can see there's some characteristics there: usable, desirable, accessible, credible, which help to determine whether or not a user can easily complete a task, whether or not they can navigate easily to find what they're looking for, whether they trust the product, whether they're likely to return to the product, and so on. So we're focusing on the user experience of consumers. There's been some previous analysis done, and users of EOSC have been divided into consumers, providers, and facilitators. And certainly for the work we're describing here, the focus is consumers, who may be researchers or non-researchers. And as researchers, they may be individuals, part of an informal collective, part of a formal research community, etc. Or they could just be citizen scientists, or public sector, or just individual citizens who want to access research outputs. So to do this user experience work, we've got a number of methods and user modeling tools at our disposal. And the first point is to gather requirements, and there are a number of different approaches to doing that. And then, of course, to structure and analyze those requirements. And for the user experience process, we're looking at a number of steps, which is discovery, conceptualization, design, and validation. And we have a number of research methods to support that in terms of user needs analysis, optimization, evaluation, and some tools, some modeling tools in terms of documentation and visualization. And we'll look at some of these in the following slides. We want to improve the user experience. So we want to discover what the users want from the EOSC front office. And there are a number of approaches to that via feedback mechanisms, surveys, mock-ups, and interactions with the recently formed EOSC user group, which is a number of researchers who have volunteered to interact with us and be part of the co-creation process. And we want to analyze the users and their interactions with the existing components. Look at their personas in terms of what type of users they are. Can we characterize users broadly into different types? In terms of the user stories, what is it the users want to get done? What are they looking for in terms of the support for their research from EOSC? What their user journeys look like. So they have things they want to get done. How do they find their way through the platform to try to get those tasks done? And then card sorting, where users can tell us what their priorities are in terms of the various requirements or the features that they would like to see. Another approach is to create mock-ups of new or redesigned user interfaces and present those to the users, again, in the spirit of co-creation, to get feedback. And here are just some examples of screens which are envisaged for the improved EOSC front office. So at this point, I hand over to my colleague, Bartosz. Over to you.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, hello everyone. I will continue John's presentation about the front office. So as John said, we have couple methods of visualizing our work. We have couple research methods to analyze the usability and validate the designs. One of them are interface mockups. And as you can see in this slide, we've been using this method for quite some time to present the ideas of the visual design. And I will also give some examples for the new designs that were or have been already produced in scope of the EOSC Future project. But let's focus on the improvements in the current environment that EOSC Future brings. So as John also said, the work doesn't start from scratch, as we base our work on the results of the previous projects, in particular EOSC Hub, EOSC Enhance, and Open Air Advance. And especially based on the experiences from the two latter ones, we've been able to define couple characteristics of the user profile and present the features to manipulate settings of such a profile and parameterization of such a user profile. So in scope of the EOSC Future, the look of the view on the end user is being enhanced to combine all the information available in the platform, being the authorship of publications coming from the research product catalog, or accessing user data related to ordering in the catalog and marketplace, to provide a single consistent view of the end users. And you might ask, what for? The main principle is to enrich data of the user in order to give back to the users what they might be expecting from the platform. So, for example, some features related to the usage of the portal, for some features related to the usage of the front office components, such as personalized recommendations based on data sets, services, publications, skills and training modules that match their preferences and that are potentially matching their interests. As well as to evaluate the usability of the system. And as John previously also mentioned, there are two basic ways to evaluate the system usability. One is to use the research methods, focusing on the user experience, and the other one is to collect feedback directly in the system, providing the users functionalities to evaluate parts of the system or entities that are visible via the system. So in scope of EOSC Future, we'll be focusing on enriching the data of the user profile and giving the possibilities to interact with the platform directly to enhance the platform and the user experience for the end user. A new addition to the front-end interfaces, starting from the EOSC portal, is a user panel, so a personalized user dashboard that will allow users to access the user profile, to view it, to see all the available data that have been either introduced by the end users or collected by the system, and access the data set of the user characteristics, to also allow managing the user settings with some customizations that will be available in the front-end interfaces. Also to access EOSC managed items, so to access all the resources and including research products, to learn, acquire, manage and combine these items, as well as provide feedback. So this is also the place where the users will be able to rate items or provide other types of feedback, and to view collaboration history with other users, projects, past searches, and similar activity of the end user. This is a mock-up that we prepared just to help us in communication. This is a very first prototype of how your EOSC dashboard might look like. So as you will notice, there are some recommendations of the resources, being services or data sets, recommended publications, some popular articles in the EOSC portal. And in general, this should be understood as a set of several lists of recommendations that are produced by the recommender system and should be delivered to the end users in a proactive manner without explicitly searching for the items. On the right side of this panel, you will notice that we also give the possibility to see the summary of the user activity in the environment. So you can notice some relevant or ordered resources, some projects created in user space of the marketplace, user interests. So this summary should let us navigate to the proper parts of the front-end interface ecosystem to manage respective items. And as many of them are defined in different parts of the system, we want to provide a single place to look for them and to navigate to the respective management of the settings. And the section Stay Updated is a place that gives us possibility to deliver notifications about some events happening in the environment that are user related. So as you can see, there can be notifications about some services awaiting your opinion. So rating some activities in the user projects, some publications created in the scope of the user interests. But in general, this should be understood as a place to notify the end users about interesting or valid additions to the ecosystem that the end users should pay attention to. And your recent activities is a section at the bottom, is a section that should help users to monitor previous activities and somehow help them to return to the previously accessed results, as for example, search results for, in this case, cloud computing phrase with some filters applied. This should give you a rough overview of what can be offered by such a new user interface. But also, of course, we will be running and executing research methods to validate what is really needed in terms of such a user interface and what we should focus on, because it's not that simple to find a way to responding to user needs without analysis of the needs itself. So as I've already mentioned, this visualization should help us in communication. It should help us to roughly describe what we are aiming for, and then start talking about specific issues that might arise from this implementation. Okay, the next area is the improved cross-catalog discovery. So smart resource discovery mechanism, which will allow to search across multiple resource types. And as I've already mentioned, the main focus for our development will be making research products available, and this is what we are focusing at the start of the project. Also, training materials which are going to be made available and authored by the end users of the EOSC portal will be searchable through the smart resource discovery mechanisms. So we will be focusing on the full text search capabilities to deliver a proper and expected value when users are introducing search phrases, because in principle it sounds simple, because we got used to using systems like Google, which seem obvious to us, but when it comes to details, it's not that obvious how to deliver expected results from the full text search. We will be using also filters and various sorting mechanisms to refine the result set and to allow discover and browse through the result set to make sure users can find what they are looking for. We will be also giving the possibilities to compare resources and to mark some of them favorite. As we are approaching a stage where we will be showing different resource types, a proper visualization for each one of them, and each one and every of them will be needed to deliver proper use case and make to deliver a proper user experience and allow for finding the properties or characteristics of the resources that might be interesting from the coming from the nature of the resource or the expected results or expected values coming from the end users. Okay, so this is how the cross-catalog discovery might look like. As you can notice, there are some results coming from the marketplace, and there are some results coming from research product database, research product catalog, being research outcomes, being publications or data sets, content providers, organizations, some results coming from the Knowledgehub. Probably this categorization is not perfect, but it also helps us give you the idea of how this front end might look like. So it's not that different from what we currently have in the EOSC marketplace, but the whole data set is very different. This might also look like that, and by providing different versions of the visualization and validating the designs with the user groups, we will be focusing on optimal designs and optimal implementation for the expected users. In terms of support for the research activities or activities of the researchers, EOSC Future delivers functions to collect statistics that will help the researchers to monitor the open science evolution. EOSC Future also brings a completely new component called Knowledgehub, which will allow user-generated content in terms of training and learning materials, as well as provide access to training catalog and be in general a place where the end users are looking for support and knowledge about the EOSC principles, EOSC open science practice, and materials to learn about services and other resources. Researchers will be also able to use a help desk dedicated to support in learning open science practices. So there will be a support team helping the researchers to organize their data sets or implement good practices for the metadata implementation. So we are not talking more and more about services, but also delivering a service for the researchers that will support them in the way to the open science. Open Science Monitor, because this is how this component is called, is based on the Open Science Observatory system provided by OpenAir, and it will allow to observe open science practices across Europe in terms of numbers of publications produced in respective countries, and in general take a look at the analytic from the analytic standpoint at the distribution of open science practices across Europe. The Knowledge Hub will allow us to easily access different types of training support materials, with providing intuitive navigation through the event materials, online courses, training workflows, and other learning materials introducing the platform. As I already described, help desk and messaging will allow to contact community experts to get help in applying open science practices. And the training catalog will be a federated approach to collect all the training materials that come to the EOSC ecosystem. Knowledge Hub operations is the only aspect I didn't mention, or mentioned partly, because operation of training catalog and training platform services is not something that comes for free. So there will be a set of experts that will support these activities and the use of this platform and making the use of this platform possible. A new angle that EOSC Future is also taking is producing a brand new system using artificial intelligence and machine learning to produce personalized recommendations. As you were able to notice in the EOSC catalog and marketplace, there are some recommendation functionalities available and already, and there is a function that suggests valuable resources for the end users. But what changes completely is the scope of the recommendation, and the scope of recommendation affects both architecture as well as the mechanisms used, because it's a very different nature of recommendation items that need to be taken into account. So in scope of EOSC Future, of course, based on some previous work from previous projects, but also applying the principles that come directly from the proposal of the EOSC Futures, the project will deliver personalized content recommendations based on the viewing history, order history, general popularity of resources, popularity of the resources among users with similar backgrounds, and neural networks will analyze this for us and produce categories of interests and rate valuable resources to help us discover the things that change in the environment and that might be interesting for us as a users. The recommendations can be provided in various forms, and they will and the recommender system will support many parts of the user interface, as well as enable some offline notifications with interesting resources, such as information via email with a set of relevant resources for the end users. So wrapping up the benefits for researchers that EOSC Future brings, new types of EOSC resources will be managed as a basis for the front office environment. Datasets, publications, and software are the types of resources that haven't been available via the EOSC portal, and EOSC Future makes them available for the EOSC users and provides user interfaces that will allow more understanding of the resources because of the better structured metadata models. Other work packages are working for structuring the metadata models for standardizing guidelines for many types of resources, and based on that work, front-end user interfaces will allow to make use of this standardization and present the set of resources in a correct form to the end users. Smart search and discovery mechanisms will allow to easily find what users are looking for, or determine what they might be looking for to make them aware of the resources in the fields of interest. Statistics to monitor open science evolution will allow to researchers to see what changes help this will give them and the needed support in the research activities and managing data sets and metadata repositories. Skills and training modules will allow to learn everything that we need to know about EOSC resources. There are some more added values that haven't been previously mentioned, such as guidance to the compatibility that will be made available or made possible with the introduction of the interoperability framework for resources. So also front office platform can make use of it, and with the proper approach to the modeling user experience, present or give the guidance possibility to the end users, and allow, for example, for noticing compatible data sets and services, and in general matching compatible resources. Integrated information about popularity, availability, and usage will be made possible by integration, monitoring and accounting services. Integrating usage counts from OpenAir will make the end users able to see how popular are the scientific products, how often they are viewed or downloaded via the systems of system collecting the information from many repositories of research products. Integrating Argo messaging system, Argo monitoring system will allow us to make availability and reliability information about services visible to the end users, and integrating accounting services will also allow us to produce some additional knowledge that will be taken into account when redesigning or improving the end user interfaces. More integrations by providers for reaching EOSC Future to integrate with the EOSC core platform will bring more and more automated service order delivery, which will help the researchers and the end users to easier access the services in the infrastructure. So this will be an added value that comes from work package 4 and work more for the focus on the provider integration, but it will also deliver the results for the end users and researchers. And these these two last aspects of the front-end interface evolution, so your EOSC dashboard and customizable AI-based recommendations, will complete the view of how the front office platform evolves in scope of EOSC Future. But as also John mentioned, the story doesn't end here. Because we want to find out more about what is needed, what might be useful, what are the motivations and expectations of the users of the EOSC portal and the new components of the EOSC front office platform. So please reach to us and provide us the guidance needed to provide the researchers and end users with the proper implementation that fulfills your goals. Contact at EOSC Portal EU is the best place available that you should or could submit your requests. We will be, of course, integrating many feedback mechanisms in the system itself. So please observe the evolution of the EOSC portal and the platform, because it will iteratively give you more and more abilities to make influence on our work. Thank you very much. This is all from me.
Thank you very much, Bartosz and John. This was a very comprehensive presentation. So I do understand it's quite a lot of content to digest, especially for those that are not strictly involved in the project, but that's why we will make available the slides and also the recording. So now we have around 15 minutes left to take some questions from the audience. So I ask my colleagues to show the Slido and to put again the link to Slido and the code in the chat. You can also raise your hand in case you want to further comment or ask a question directly. So let's start with the top rated question that it's indeed an interesting one. So who is going to fund the portal and the infrastructure in the long run? So that's a very difficult question. Maybe, I don't know, John, do you want to take it?
Yes, it is a difficult question and it's open-ended at the moment. As I replied in Slido, the project is working closely with the EOSC Association to determine how to go forwards with this. And we're also expecting a procurement call at the end of 2022 to look at funding long-term support of components of the platform. But I think at this stage, it's fair to say it's not been determined exactly how this will happen.
Yeah, indeed. And I would like to follow up with another question that is really targeted to you, John. So how do we ensure that the EOSC tools and services are not redundant with CESDA outputs? And then the other question related to that is that, for example, with the EOSC catalog, harvest the content of the CESDA data catalog.
Okay, well, I guess one way is that CESDA is one of the beneficiaries in the EOSC Future project, and therefore CESDA has got some skin in the game and can keep an eye on the balance between EOSC Future outputs and CESDA objectives. And so there's a connection across the divide, if you like, there. But also the CESDA data catalog has already been onboarded into the EOSC Future catalog, and I've provided the link to the entry in Slido. And as from next year, the Open Air Research Graph will harvest, we expect it will start to harvest the CESDA data catalog metadata records, and they'll become part of that research graph. And the research graph underlies the recommender system, which provides the personalized recommendations to users. And so some of those recommendations will take into account metadata from the CESDA data catalog, and therefore there's an integration at that level too.
Thanks, John. I hope that, Benjamin, if you have any other questions, feel free to raise your hand or post them in the Slido. Then I would pick up the next question about UX. By UX, we mean user experience intended for EOSC Future front office tools only, or for their content, such as the resources available through the catalog and marketplace too. Maybe Bartosz, you can say something about this question.
Yes, I can understand where does it come from, because the user experience doesn't end with what we are implementing. The user experience is strongly related to the content provided for the portal. So the quality of the descriptions, the quality of the metadata that comes from service and content providers, yes. We take this into account in our research, but there's a limited influence in our hands. We can have on the content produced by content and service providers. Although the role of the rules of participation in turn is to higher the quality of the resources or make the quality of the resources coming to the EOSC platform higher. So we believe that addressing properly this from two ends, so from a user experience point of view and platform development, as well as from the user as well as from the rules of participation and the onboarding procedures evolution point of view, will bring the better user experience together.
Thanks, Bartosz. Then, Marika, if you scroll a bit down, I would like to take this question about the patents. So will it be possible also to look through patents when searching by the EOSC portal? Has this topic already been addressed, Bartosz?
It hasn't. And it is good that we can see that it could be expected from the end users. So we will definitely take this into account. Thank you.
That's good, and maybe we can take these comments, clarification about that. Is the researcher uploading resources, or are the other repositories connecting to EOSC? Who are the providers?
Okay, so maybe me again. Providers are, as for now, providers of the EOSC are service providers, but in the long run, we will have the guidance for content providers coming from the open air practices, and this will include providers of data repositories, repositories of publications, software, and so on. So Sarah, can you go back to this question again, because I'm looking at your screen. I'd like to address this fully.
It's there a little.
Okay, it's researcher uploading resources. So no, researchers are not uploading resources. The whole overarching view of the EOSC platform is to provide the system of systems. So the guidelines for interoperability will bring the providers, respective providers, so service providers, content providers, the guidelines on how to connect, and in terms, for example, of publications, repositories, so providers of publications, the process will be to register in open research graph, and as providers, so the onboarding rules will be adapted to match this user journey, and then the publications will be harvested by the research graph, and in that way made available for the end users of the EOSC portal.
Okay, thank you, Bartosz. Then there is another quite technical question that asks if smart search and discovery works via indexing or text analysis tools.
Both.
Okay.
That's why it's smart.
Good answer. So let me see. Well, there was this question about the definition of the front office, but I've seen that John already put a very good definition in the answer. And so saying that the front office is a collection of functionalities for EOSC end users who wants to discover and use EOSC resources and include all the components that John and Bartosz presented today. And indeed, I remind you that in the next 2 days, there are a couple of sessions focusing on some of these modules. For example, the EOSC Knowledgehub, there will be a specific session on that on Thursday at 10:30. And tomorrow instead, there will be a session on the EOSC Policy Observatory at 12. So if you want more information on those, you will have a chance to follow those sessions. I see a new question that came in now. How do you ensure the quality of resources included in your catalog? For example, how do you guarantee the metadata is correct and updated?
I think that's largely really an onboarding question, which is to do with the provider portal. The provider portal and the front office are two different sides of the same coin, if you like. And so what we're describing today is the functionality that allows the resources that have been uploaded to be searched, browsed, discovered, accessed. The provider side of it, which provider portal side of it, is where the responsibility for the metadata descriptions, the quality checks, the deciding what to accept and what not to accept takes place. And I think rather than trying to steal their thunder, I recommend you, if you can, listen to the provider portal talk tomorrow. What time did I put it in? Was it 10 o'clock?
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock, sorry, 9 till 10 tomorrow.
Yeah, and I also want to remark the comment from Matthew in the chat that we are also working in EOSC Future on this EOSC Future project glossary, and this could be very useful also to clarify all the terminology that we are using and the different components and so on. I think we have 5 minutes left. I think I would like to pick up 2 questions. One is about the monitoring. So do you monitor how, when the various resources are accessed also through the cross-catalog queries?
I think I need to hear this question once more.
So the question is, do you monitor how or when the various resources are accessed also through the cross-catalog queries? You need to scroll down, Marik. Is it towards the end? Go down, go down, go down, go down, down.
Yes, so there are two types of the answers I can give right now. We will be, because this is a task for a future, monitoring the downloads from the EOSC portal. But the other flip of the same coin is that we will be integrating data from cross-catalog point of view, because the realization of this is integrating the opener usage count service that makes reporting of the measures from repositories of publications and software and datasets available. So repositories are reporting their own view on the measures such as downloads, and the measures are combined in the service and will be made available via the front office.
Thanks, Bartosz. And I think as last question, I mean, there are a couple of questions related to OpenAIRE and the research graph. So there is a question again related to the statistics of monitoring open science. So which information forms the basis for the statistics of monitoring open science? Is this information coming from OpenAIRE? And the slightly related question is that how the research graph is related to EOSC and what you're doing. Maybe you can say something about this.
Maybe I will start from the latter one. So the research graph is de facto the catalog of resources for the EOSC ecosystem. In the EOSC core procurement, research graph is playing this role of resource catalog. The service catalog, service registry, that is a basis for onboarding current service providers, will integrate with the OpenAIRE research graph to make research graph a ubiquitous source of such information. So this is the answer for the last question. And for the first question, I think that exactly this is a question to post tomorrow at the providers sessions. You will have a chance to talk with Paolo Manghi, who is leading the development of the back office system and CTO of the OpenAir. He will be very capable of answering the questions about the OpenAir research graph.
Okay, so I think we have reached the end of the hour. I think we have addressed more or less all the questions, but I really invite Bartosz and John to go once again to the questions in the slide and maybe reply directly in the slide, or if there is something that was not addressed in the session. And as Bartosz remarked in his last slide, so we have a contact email address for any questions you might have. So now we are, so thank you very much, John and Bartosz, for answering all the questions, for the very interesting presentation. Now we are breaking up for half an hour. So get your coffee or tea, and we are coming back at 10:30 with the next session that is really about how EOSC Future is working together with the scientific communities and how we are trying to support them. I'll see you all in half an hour then. Thank you very much.